Hi, this is Daniel Villarreal with Queerty.com. I'm here speaking with Patty Schemel, P. David Eversole, and Todd Hughes, who are involved with the film Hit So Hard.
How many famous women drummers do you know?
Take a look at the band Hole and you see Courtney Love, a strong woman worshipped by countless teenage girls. But take a listen and you'll know who's really in charge. Another woman, drummer Patty Schemel.
So, first off, it's a pleasure that you're here, because I didn't know if they'd bring the star of the film. How did this entire process get started? I mean, how did you guys start?
The process was started a few years ago. I had a box in my closet of all these high-8 tapes of tours with Hole. It was just in the closet collecting dust. A friend of mine said, you should really preserve these, you should digitize. And I don't know, I didn't know anything about that. So I called David and I said, can you just help me out with it? I went over and, we set up the dubbing deck, and then I was kind of explaining what was going on to him, and he was like, this is a really great story.
Patty's a great raconteur, and so she started telling these stories, but also as we were watching the footage, she was telling me stories about her own life and, how it fit into the time period. And so you could see that, like, if you did interviews and then structured it together with today and where Patty has come to now, that it really told this huge arc of a story. As soon as I really started piecing it together, I was like, oh, wow, this could be inspirational for people to see.
Apart from being an inspirational film, I guess I'm kind of wondering, like, is it really supposed to be like an inspirational film? Is it supposed to be just a film that is more of a sort of biopic?
Yeah, inspirational, but it's also my story, it's from my view of that time and that being in that band and what was going on in that scene of bands and music in Seattle, and that story's been told from different perspectives, but it's all pretty similar. The Courtney story. With me, it's a bit different. These are never before seen backstage footage and a different view of my good friends, just more private. And it's also a story about how I survived through and came out the other side, whereas others that I loved didn't make it.
How much do you think the lesbian identity plays into the film? What do you think that really brings to the film in terms of its presentation or the way it's being received?
At the time, I felt more comfortable being public about my sexuality, and that was sort of a message that time brought, and those musicians, and like Kurt, for one, being a person who was supportive of gays.
And even Courtney Love, who Roddy Bottom talks about it, having a lesbian drummer was a feather in her cap, right? She was so proud of that. She was so proud of her gay drummer.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a pretty awesome front woman to want that in her band.
And it being a little less of a secret, to come out in Rolling Stone magazine. I didn't have very many gay role models, and I made a point in my, when I came out, that I would share that so that anyone else, any kid who grew up in a small town like I did, would see that, there's other gay people out there.
The whole coming out in Rolling Stone magazine thing, I'm wondering if for you, going into the Rolling Stone interview, you knew it was something that you were like, this is something I want to do in this interview, or if it just happened to come out.
It just came out as part of my identity, that's me. It wasn't anything that I made a point of saying,
Right.
It just was like, well, I'm gay.
I was talking to a friend about the drug use in the film, and it seems that on one hand you could say, ooh, cautionary tale, don't do drugs, kids. But on another hand, my friend pointed out, he was like, well, you get the sense that drugs are part of, I guess, her journey. Now that you've been sober for 6 years and you're still running the dog business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, do you look back at that period where it's just like, wow, really dark time, and I can't go back? Do you look at it as sort of a necessary thing where you're like, you know what, I had to go through that to get to where I am now?
Yeah, exactly. I had to go through it to get to where I am today because, as you can see in the film, that so many people, warned me along the way, or, said, hey, you should really take it easy with the drugs or whatever, or people died. Nothing really, no matter what anyone tells you, you're not going to stop until you stop. And what it took for me was getting to the street.
But even when you talk about the idea that it's not a cautionary tale in a certain way. I think it's because what we were trying to do was say, this is a real person, this is what she went through. So was Kurt, so was Kristen. And so it's not like this sort of big, glamorized trip through, you know, the Alice in Wonderland of drugs and that experience, so that you think, oh my God, I want to be high and be a rock star. It's like there's a certain reality to your life and what you go through.
I'm curious for all of you, what it's like working on a sort of, you know, spouse team. You guys are a husband team, and then your wife was involved. I mean, does that make it easier? Does it make it harder?
I think it's the most awesome thing you can do, because we're family, right? If you're having a problem or a rough day, or there's something you don't know how to handle, it's so easy to tell your husband, your friends, you know, I don't know what to do here. Right. And someone always has an answer. So.
And also, I mean, Todd and I worked very hard to get to the place where we could be our own company, be at home, and be working on our creative projects. And actually, like, that's our dream. That's what we wanted to be doing. A lot of couples are like, oh, I need my private time. I want to get away from you.
There's really sensitive material here in looking at all the footage, and I could only trust very close friends with it. And also my wife as well, being part of it. I have my view of how it went and my feelings around it, and her explaining, you know, maybe we should put that one, you know, piece of footage in that's sensitive because, and this is why. And I'll be like, no, that's too, you know, and she's, no, this is why. And then she'll explain it, and I'll trust her, you know.
Right.
And I trusted David and Todd around it, you know. And then to see my wife do what she does, be a producer, is amazing. You know, when you see someone you love doing their thing, you know, that you don't see every day, is always really exciting.
We've talked a little about the female voices and the gay voices and lesbian voices, but I'm also wondering, like, what if lesbian identity played any role in kind of your formation as a musician or in what you're doing now?
I was drawn to the drums. It was something guys did, you know, and that I wanted to, you know, when I was little, you know, I was a tomboy, and I wanted to be as good as the guys, you know. Playing drums, you know, sort of erased all that, you know. If I was a girl or a guy or whatever, you know, I could just play drums.
Right.
You know.
It seems like the film would have an almost instant following just because of the many people who are, you know, fans of you and fans of the band and all that. But it seems that sometimes other gay films and documentaries get relegated into sort of art house or gay ghetto. Right. And I guess I'm kind of wondering what you think about. I mean, do you think that there has an instant audience because of that? Are you looking for some wider appeal in terms of?
Absolutely.
Our launch here is South by Southwest and New Directors in Films.
Okay.
So we're already out of the box of the sort of, you know, the gay ghetto that people talk about with, you know, having made a gay-themed film. But we love our gay audience.
Yeah.
And to be able to play Outfest, to be able to play Frameline, to be in front of the people that you know that to some extent the movie is for, like, that's kind of a given. But that we get to begin in the other realm means that the outside world gets some kind of perception that this movie is something that's other than just a gay film, as though that's something that's wrong with it. Sure. But we've played, I don't know, how many movies have we had in the gay film circuit? 10 films or something like that. Wow. over the years. So it's an audience that we count on, that we appreciate, that we love. And so when Outfest was approaching us and talking about wanting the film, but you know, you start getting the thing from the sales agents or the people who say, oh, don't get us. We're like, that's our audience.
Right.
We're playing to our audience.
Right.
Go, take everything, take everything.